"Humans, I have heard they are savages," said the Thakari captain, his antenna twitching with both disdain and curiosity. He leaned back in his command chair, surrounded by a semicircle of screens, showing the operations on the distant world they planned. To take over his eyes scanned the digital map of Sector Alpha, a planet long marked as quarantined by the Galactic Concord. A low chuckle echoed as one of his tall reptilian officers smirked and said, "Maybe savages, but their technology is outdated. This will be an easy victory." The captain's antenna twitched nervously this time, and the repeated warning message was just noise, an old automated alert they had been marking sectors for centuries. No one ever returned to claim anything here. The captain shifted uncomfortably, but agreed. "Fine. Get the troops ready, start the landing." The Thakari Empire, a huge and aggressive alien race, had been growing its borders, swallowing world after world. This planet Earth was next abandoned long ago by the Galactic Concord, hidden in the distant space. The warning did not matter. No one had come to check. The Thakari sent their battalion of heavily armored soldiers, their weapons shining under the harsh light of the alien world. The land was barren. Rocky and lifeless thick fog hung low, making the place feel like a lost graveyard as they landed. The automated message played through speakers. "This sector is closed. Leave now." The soldiers ignored it, landing hard on the empty world. The captain's shuttle touched down, and he stepped out into the cold, silent air, his boots crunching on the rocky ground. "Begin setting up base," he ordered. Troops rushed to assemble mining tools and defenses. Some soldiers whispered to each other, casting uneasy looks at the empty horizon. It felt wrong, they thought, but none dared question the orders. After all, who was left to stop them? Hours went by. The Thakari built camp in the center of what seemed to be a ruined city, broken buildings scattered around, towering like ghosts of a lost civilization. It was too quiet. The only sounds were the hum of machines and the occasional cough of a soldier eager to work. Then a signal came, a faint, encrypted transmission cutting through the static. A voice said, "Human quarantine zone, you are trespassing. Leave now or face the consequences." The captain stayed calm. "This is conquest. Keep going." His command was firm, his face showing confidence. But as the Thakari flag was planted in the barren ground, the captain felt a deep unease he could not explain. Yet he nodded, and despite his worry, the Thakari carried on mining the planet's resources, fast-setting defenses, and making themselves at home. They soon reached the city core, where the stone buildings still held some strange power, but as they dug deeper, the air grew heavy, thick with a strange silence. Then suddenly the first attack came, a flash in the sky, a dark shape cut through clouds, and before anyone could react, a huge explosion tore through. Their outer defenses, dust and debris filled the air. Soldiers scrambled, trying to check the damage. Their comms cut out, losing contact with the captain. "Hostiles incoming," shouted a soldier. The captain's orders were short. "Fall back to command center. Strengthen the perimeter," but it was too late. The next wave arrived. Black ships, sleek and fast, appeared in the sky. They moved in on the ground, carrying soldiers fired, but the weapons barely hurt the ships, which moved through smoke and dust, their cloaking making them almost invisible. Then human soldiers appeared, dropping from the sky like ghosts, their armor shining pale light but different. These humans attacked with overwhelming power, their weapons strange and terrifying, ripping through, carry armor like paper. The first human to land was a large figure, his armor damaged but strong. He carried a weapon like a nightmare. He said nothing. His actions spoke louder. "Captain, they are everywhere," shouted a soldier running for cover, but it was useless. Humans were all over rooftops and alleys, rising from the ground, as if the earth itself obeyed them. The general, a huge reptilian figure, shouted on the comm retreat, "We must fall back." But the order came too late. The humans were already closing in. The Thakari fought hard, but it was clear this battle was lost in the chaos. A panicked Thakari general. Sweating, the general reached out, desperate, his voice breaking through the comms. We didn't know it was yours, please. We didn't. Know it was yours? The reply came fast, cold, and clear. The human voice cut through the static. Now you do. The black ships hovered above, casting long shadows over the fight. Then just as fast as they came, they disappeared, leaving only the broken remains. Of the defeated forces behind the city fell silent again. The smoke cleared. The ground was covered with the wreckage of the Thakari failed invasion. A single human soldier stood quietly among the debris, his face hidden by a helmet he looked over. The battlefield taking in the destruction. Then, with a simple motion, he gave the signal. The mission was complete within minutes. The remaining Thakari were rounded up. The human soldiers said nothing to them. They did not have to. The message was, "Clear, you trespassed, now you pay the price." Dust still hung in the air like a heavy curtain. The surviving Thakari were gathered in a makeshift holding pen in the ruined city. Their once proud armor torn and scorched, their weapons thrown in the dirt, the air thick with the smell of burning metal, and faint fear among the prisoners was the Thakari general, his chest rising and falling with exhaustion and dread, his mind racing, trying to find logic or hope, but there was none. He knew this was no ordinary military mission. This was a massacre, an ambush, a slaughter, but not random. It was planned. The humans had been waiting for them. His mind kept replaying the moment again, the black ships dropping from the sky, the chaos that followed. The precise strikes, like they knew exactly where to hit the weak spots, even in battle. General, one of his lieutenants, whispered, "What happens now?" The general did not answer at once. His eyes moved to the human guards. Their weapons relaxed on the prisoners. They moved strangely, like they knew the land, the city, the very air. He had never seen anything like it. Not in all his years of war, not even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. Then came the sound, crackling static, followed by a voice, "This is Earth Command. You must leave this sector now. Failure to comply will bring further action. There will be no second warning." The general's eyes widened. Earth, the humans did. Not only send soldiers, they controlled fleets, whole systems. But how had they hidden this power so long? The general believed the Concord banned humanity from space, confined to their world, cut off from the galaxy. What he had seen was beyond any tactics or technology he could imagine, General. The lieutenant said again, "They knew we were here before we arrived." "I know," the general replied, running his hand through thinning silver hair, trying to stay calm, but it got harder with every second. "Gather the survivors, we must leave now." But it was already too late as he finished speaking. The human soldiers moved in. Prisoners were lined up, hands bound. Some Thakari whispered nervously. But the humans were silent. The silence felt heavier than gravity on this world. A lone human soldier came forward, tall, broad-shouldered, his dark armor shining with reflections of the burning city. The visor of his helmet cracked, a thin line of blood running down his cheek, but he moved like he was unaffected, cold and indifferent. He stepped to the general. "Your people said the soldier took what does not belong to you." The general's eyes narrowed. "We did not know this was yours." The soldier did not react to the plea. "Now you do," he said, nodding to the prisoners. "Take them. Do not forget to tell them they leave alive without another word." The soldier turned and disappeared into the smoky ruins, leaving the Thakari to think about their fate. The general stood stunned by the coldness of the exchange. These humans were unlike anything he had seen, not in any battle, not in any war. As the human soldiers began moving prisoners toward their ships, the general's mind raced what had happened. What message had the humans sent a few hours ago? This planet seemed an easy conquest, a world ready to take a simple mining operation, but now it felt like a nightmare. Then in the distance, the human ships moved. They did not lift off like a fleet. They simply vanished into the atmosphere silently, as if never there. The general's heart pounded. These humans were not just soldiers. They controlled the very fabric of the environment. They had weaponized the planet itself. and it terrified him. The survivors were taken aboard a small human ship, so sleek, so quiet, it might have been a shadow. It made no sense. No one in the galaxy had ships like this. The Thakari Empire had one of the strongest fleets, but even they could not match human technology. There was no show of power, no bravado. The humans did not need to prove their strength. It was enough to simply be inside the ship. The Thakari prisoners were led into a holding area. The screen came to life, displaying images of the aftermath of the Thakari invasion destruction fire. The bodies of Kerry soldiers scattered across the city. The precision of the counterattack was unnerving. "This is what happens when you ignore a clear warning," the soldier said. Some senators looked away, their faces pale. Others stared in shock, eyes wide, unable to comprehend what they were seeing. The Thakari general's heart pounded in his chest. He could almost hear the distant screams of his men, the thunder of human weapons, and then silence, complete, absolute. The humans had moved through the city like a force of nature. "Your people didn't even have a chance," the soldier added, almost as if in passing. "We didn't even have to send a fleet." The screen flickered again, showing a new image, a human ship, sleek and black, hovering silently over the battlefield, its stillness more terrifying than any weapon. The caption beneath read, "No casualties, human losses, 0. The general's blood ran cold, that was it. The humans had destroyed everything, every ship, every defense without suffering. A single loss. Another senator stood up, furious, trying to speak. You're not a part of the Concord. You can't." The soldier cut him off again. "We were never part of the Concord. The humans are here now, and if you step into our territory again, you will regret it." There was no illusion left. The humans weren't just a race. They were a force. Their resilience wasn't a myth. It was a warning. Outside the Senate chamber, the general was led to a holding cell. He sat in silence, mind racing, trying to understand what had just happened. Any hope for diplomacy was gone. The humans had shattered it with cold efficiency. The door opened. A human soldier stepped in, offering a small metallic device. The general stared at it, confused. "The device is for you," the soldier said. "You'll be given safe passage back to your fleet. Consider it a gift. Don't make us send another message." There was no anger in his voice, no hatred, just a quiet finality, a cold truth. The general took the device, his hand trembling slightly as the door closed behind the soldier. Back on his ship, the general sat alone in his quarters, the device resting on the table, his thoughts spinning. The humans had made it clear they were no longer in the shadows. No longer a forgotten species on a backwater planet. They were now the power that ruled the stars. He had survived wars, invasions, endless battles, but he had never faced an enemy like this one, so effortless in their dominance, so absolute in their message. He leaned back in his chair, eyes on the stars, but the stars no longer held wonder, no longer held dreams of conquest, only the haunting reminder that humanity had claimed their place. The galaxy was no longer what it once was, and every species, every empire would have to come to terms with that. The humans had arrived, and there was no going back. In the silence of deep space, the Thakari general finally understood. The human quarantine zone was not just a message, it was a command, and the galaxy had no choice but to obey.